Welcome to episode 276 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak encouragement into the hearts of educators and get you informed and energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm talking about finding flow in the classroom and how to teach productivity strategies to students. Visit truthforteachers.com to get an easy-to-read, easy-to-share version of this podcast episode. If you teach 8th through 12th grades, I have a special opportunity for you. I'm releasing a brand new curriculum line designed to help students find flow in the classroom and manage their time, energy, and focused attention. As a podcast listener, you're invited to be part of our beta tester group. You can purchase the entire curriculum line, all 6 units with 55 lessons in total, for just $35, now through May 31st, 2023. This is a deeply discounted price only for my email subscribers and podcast listeners. You'll receive the resources before they're available to anyone else, and you'll have the opportunity to offer suggestions that shape the development of future units so they'll better meet the needs of your students. I'll share more about the curriculum and beta testing opportunity at the end of this episode. Does it feel like every year you have more and more students who could be successful in class, but just won't apply themselves? Are your students prone to shutting down when things are hard, giving up when they don't understand, and not putting forth the necessary effort to complete assignments? If so, you are not alone in experiencing that in your classroom, and that's what today's episode is designed to address. These are struggles that are common to the human experience, and they're especially typical for young people whose brains are still developing and who are just beginning to learn how to manage their time and energy and focused attention. I do think it's gotten harder to stay focused in our modern world, and the events of the last few years, including the pandemic, along with technology developments, have made the strain on our focus even greater. None of these issues can be solved with lecturing, more tutoring, additional homework, or having an adult sit down alongside kids and endlessly cajole them to just buckle down, stay focused. No matter how many times you say to kids, "You can do this, you just have to try," it won't change the pattern of behavior. And that's because kids need strategies for pushing themselves through difficult tasks. So, what if your students had the necessary tools to find their flow during schoolwork so they're totally immersed and engaged? What if they had the tools to take initiative in learning new things and problem solving? The tools to focus on assignments and concentrate with fewer distractions? The tools to manage their time well and prioritize tasks? What if they knew how to create healthy sleep, work, and play habits to maximize energy? And how to tap into their creativity and use processes of divergent thinking? It may seem impossible now, but these are all teachable skills. Through specific training techniques and practice, your students can be taught how to learn and how to stay focused. I'm creating a new curriculum line called Finding Flow Solutions, which is specially designed to help. I've been wanting to do this for years, but I've been so focused on mindset and productivity practices for teachers that I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to translate that work for students. So that's part of the reason that I have moved this podcast to a bi-weekly format instead of weekly, to give me more time to focus on the curriculum. And also, I feel like the 40-hour teacher workweek program is really well established now. That's something that really took a lot of my time and attention for the last few years. But I feel like it's well established in supporting teachers with managing their time and energy at this point, and really being effective and efficient in the classroom. So I am finally ready to focus deeply on the Finding Flow curriculum line for students. Anyone who's interested can download the first unit for free at findingflowsolutions.com. So this first unit is called Foundations of Flow, and you can get it for free at findingflowsolutions.com. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, this initial curriculum line is geared toward teenagers and older preteens. The first set of resources for elementary and middle school grades will be available in time for back-to-school season in August. So if you teach younger students, you can sign up to get notified when those resources are available. You can do so at findingflowsolutions.com or just click the link in your podcast show notes. So I'll share more details about the curriculum that's ready now for secondary students at the end of the episode. But for now, let's back up a bit and do a deep dive together about what it looks like to find flow and how you can begin thinking about that for your classroom. I'll also share where the term flow originates and why I've chosen that as the goal instead of productivity or time management. What you'll hear next is part of my introduction to the free Foundations of Flow unit. It's my vision for these resources to serve as both curriculum for students and professional development for teachers. In that way, you're learning together, you're sharing your progress, and you're celebrating one another's growth. You don't need to become an expert on these topics before implementing the unit. Instead, present it as something you're learning and experimenting with alongside your students. The teacher's guide for each lesson will give you all the necessary background information about key concepts before you present them to students. When it comes to student engagement, most teachers want to start with actionable strategies, and you might be one of them. You might be thinking, I don't need all the background info. Just tell me what to do. What are the quick tips and tricks that will help get my students on task and turning work in on time? Our students often think the same way when we ask them to think deeply about a concept, right? They too will often plead, can't you just tell me what you want me to do? It's a natural human tendency to look for the shortcut. We all want to skip to the end result as quickly as possible. And yet, true learning and transformation doesn't happen without deep thinking. It requires time and practice to analyze, synthesize, and internalize new understandings. This is why we want students to be self-directed in their learning and take initiative to figure things out for themselves. We want them to wrestle deeply with concepts and stick with complex ideas when they're confused. We want them to think critically and engage in the struggle of understanding, so they come out on the other side truly owning their learning, ideas, and beliefs. Two of the most powerful ways to help students experience this kind of learning are explicitly teaching kids how to optimize concentration, time, and energy, and modeling these strategies for students, and doing so with enthusiasm, curiosity, and intellectual humility. That's exactly what this unit is designed to help you do. The first and most important step is to shift from viewing learning as something that you're trying to get students to do and they're resisting, and instead view learning as something that you experiment with together. This mindset shift tends to be much more impactful than the practical strategies because it becomes the lens through which you see every aspect of your work and your time with students. Envision it. What if we acknowledged that staying motivated, focused, and getting our work done is challenging, and even we as adults struggle with it? What if, instead of constantly telling kids to focus and do their assignments, we illuminated for them how our brains work and explored ways to funnel our focused time and energy? What if we presented productivity as one giant experiment that we can have fun doing alongside our students? This unit will help you and your students internalize this way of thinking and establish the goal of finding flow in the classroom whenever possible. Flow theory was first developed in the 1970s by a Russian researcher named Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and he continued studying flow until his death in 2021. He describes flow as a state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience is so enjoyable that people will continue to do it even at great cost for the sheer sake of doing it. Experiencing flow means you are totally focused on the task at hand, and time passes without you even noticing it because you're so absorbed in what you're doing. It's not only the optimal state for learning and working, but it provides an optimal experience of being human. Csikszentmihalyi's research has shown that experiencing flow is fun. It gives us a sense of satisfaction about our work. It makes learning more enjoyable. It makes concentration feel easier. It helps us perform at our highest levels. And it leaves us feeling energized after working instead of exhausted. The best part about flow is that the ideal conditions for experiencing it are activities that require learning, improving, and applying our skills, not passive leisure activities. Tasks that grow our skill sets and require concentration are the exact type of tasks that make flow easiest to experience. Therefore, we can intentionally create experiences in the classroom that support students in experiencing flow. When students understand how flow works and what factors they personally need in order to experience flow, they'll be able to concentrate, focus, and persevere through tasks much more easily in class. They'll also be able to use what they learn about flow to help them enjoy and improve in activities outside of school, including gaming, sports, music, dancing, drawing, acting, and creative writing. Learning to find flow specifically and be productive in general are both highly personalized, lifelong processes. They can be a fun adventure if you approach these goals through a self-development lens. This means learning about your own needs and preferences, which help you show up as the best version of yourself and make a positive impact on the world. When you see productivity through this perspective, you naturally observe a difference in the way you think about and treat your students. You no longer expect them to just buckle down and get it done, since you're aware of all the mental tricks and productivity hacks that you yourself use to follow through on tasks. You no longer get as frustrated with kids who waste time because you understand some of the root causes, and you have tools to help. I prefer the concept of finding flow to managing time well, because flow implies joy and ease. These are wonderful states of being, and every student and teacher deserves to feel joy and ease in the classroom. Here are some foundational ideas to help you view productivity through this highly personal, lifelong process of finding flow. First off, it's important to know that most people have not been formally taught strategies for managing their time, or their energy, or their attention, and we need support. We've been given tasks and expected to just figure it out in terms of managing our time and getting things done. And yet, it's not that simple. And no one should have to muddle through on their own when everyone is attempting to develop the same skill set. Secondly, our world is overstimulating, with massive amounts of information competing for our attention. So it's natural to struggle with processing and prioritizing it all. We're bombarded with distractions constantly and expected to just exercise self-discipline when technology was intentionally developed to be addictive. Kids are often expected to have self-regulation skills and levels of concentration that even adults don't have. Also, school requires unpleasant, difficult, and uninteresting tasks at times, so it's only natural for kids to struggle to get their schoolwork done. Given the nature of humans, the developmental capabilities of young people, and the structure of school, it's unrealistic to expect kids to be intrinsically motivated to complete every single task. We will be frustrated, and so will they, if they're expected to always complete assignments in a timely manner and put forth 100% effort on everything. Even adults aren't capable of meeting that standard. It's also important to know that productivity is a learned skill that everyone can improve in. We can increase our capacity for deep thought and concentration. Certainly, staying focused and getting things done feels easier for some folks than others, but if someone is constantly late, unmotivated, or behind, that person is not doomed to those tendencies forever. There are no hopeless cases, including people who have ADHD or are otherwise neurodivergent. Any adult or child struggling with productivity needs to know that there's nothing wrong with them. They just haven't yet found systems that work for their personality and their needs. The most effective approach to one's workflow changes all the time. A routine or habit will often work well for a couple of days or weeks or even a few months, and then just stop working. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with the person or their approach. They just need to be flexible and experiment with different ways to manage their time, energy, and focused attention. And finally, it's important to know that productivity is a lifelong experiment, and that means there's no such thing as a failed experiment. All experiments give us feedback about what works and what doesn't. In an experiment with productivity, we're constantly tinkering with things, playing around, trying stuff out. We adjust our approach based on the information we learn from the experiment. I'm inviting you to approach this unit with your students as part of the great productivity experiment. This means you can build a toolbox of options to choose from when you're struggling to get stuff done and support your students in doing the same. It also means you can release any unreasonable expectations you hold for yourself, your colleagues, or your students about knowing how to use time well intuitively, and instead expect that we're all experimenting with various levels of success. Alongside your students, you can create space for low moods and high moods, low energy days and high energy days, and all different kinds of routines and approaches to learning. If you're intrigued by this idea, head over to findingflowsolutions.com. Teachers of younger students can sign up to be notified when resources for your grade level are available and get more information about what's coming. So if you teach elementary or middle school, feel free to go to findingflowsolutions.com now, or just click the link in the show notes. You can turn off the episode. The rest of what I'll say applies just to secondary educators. So thank you all for listening, and thank you for supporting my work as well. If you're still here, I'll assume that you teach older students. So here's a message just for you. You can download the Foundations of Flow unit for free and see if it's a good fit for your students. If so, as a podcast listener, you have an invitation to sign up for beta testing and get the other 5 complete units for just $35 total. So you're getting the free one and the other 5 in the bundle for $35. This is a steep discount from the final price, but I wanted to be able to make this really affordable to all of the people who follow my work. These lessons are designed to be no prep or minimal prep. So you don't have to master any of these skills around time management or anything yourself before introducing them to students. So if you're thinking, wait a second, I'm terrible at this. How am I going to teach my kids this? Don't worry, you're learning alongside each other. So each unit has a teacher's guide. It's a 1-page guide per lesson, which teaches you how to prepare and gives you the key ideas taught in the lesson. There's also an editable slideshow presentation to guide you and your students through each lesson. And this makes teaching the concepts and introducing the activities to students super simple. All you have to do is follow the prompts on each slide. You can do it in PowerPoint or in Google Slides. Both versions are provided. Most units have 80 to 120 slides, and they all have professionally designed graphics that are designed to be really engaging for your students. All the video clips are also embedded in the slides so that you can play them offline and you won't have any problem with website blockers. And finally, each unit has a 10 to 12 page student reflection journal. And this comes in both a printable format, so you can print it out and distribute it to kids, or you can also use the typable version and just keep everything online. The length of this student journal depends on the unit, but the format is designed to minimize printing and paper use. There's no filler, there's no fluff, there's no half blank pages. It really is maximizing the space. You can also assign the journals to students in your LMS, your learning management system. So if you use Google Classroom or something like that, you can assign it there and just keep it all digital. So if you decide to purchase now with this beta testing group, this is my suggested timeline. Try out the first 2 units, or at least the first one, with your class this school year. Those first 2 units, which are Foundations of Flow and Student-Directed Learning, are great for supporting kids with the type of student-directed projects that are typically done at the end of the school year. So you can try them out now, notice what works, what doesn't for your students, and let me know so I can make updates over the summer. Then, when the new school year begins this fall, you'll already have an idea of how Finding Flow fits into your schedule. You can use those first 2 units to set a productive tone for learning right from the start of the year. And then a new unit will be released each month in August, September, October, and November of 2023. So as the school year continues, you can continue building on your students' learning. In terms of beta testing obligations, you can be as involved as much or as little as you would like. If you want to provide detailed feedback and suggestions, you'll be invited to do so via email and Google Forms. But you don't have to fill anything out or meet any deadlines. There's nothing like that. If you run across any problems or questions as you implement the unit, you can just reach out. So to sum up, you can download the free unit now to see if you like it, see if your kids respond to it, and purchase the other 5 units for $35 total now through May 31st. So that's the cutoff date for joining the beta tester group. If you are at all interested in these resources, purchasing now will get you the lowest price. And as a beta tester, you will be the first to have the complete set of all 6 units by November 2023. So part of the reason that I'm doing this way is because I want the feedback from you all, because you know me, you know my resources, and I know that you'll be honest and give me some really insightful suggestions. But also, curriculum is expensive. Not everyone can get their school to pay for it. And I want to make this accessible to you all first. The people who don't follow my work and just encounter this later on through social media or whatever are not going to be able to get this price. But I felt that it was very important to offer this to you all who are loyal followers and who I know want to support me and want to get my resources to make it as affordable as I could for you. So that's what the beta tester program does. You can go to findingflowsolutions.com or just click the link in the show notes. That's where you'll find complete details. You'll find frequently asked questions. You'll even find videos that show you the curriculum so you can see exactly what you're getting. You'll also be able to download the first unit for free there at findingflowsolutions.com. I've been sharing productivity practices for teachers for so many years, and a lot of you have already really mastered these skills and just made them your own, really just taken on new ideas and new practices in ways that is so rewarding for me to see. And I'm so excited to support you in introducing a kid-friendly version of productivity skills to your students. So I'm really looking forward to interacting with our beta testing group and hearing your input and your feedback about how to make this curriculum absolutely transformative for students. So thank you for taking part. Thanks for supporting my work. Have a great week. You can do this. And remember, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it.